Is a water boy with the Elite 11 back in the 90s. He is now helping define it. Jordan Palmer, NFL seasons played for. Sam Darnold, Josh Allen. You told us Josh Allen was going to be really, really explosive, and he has been. Of course, brother of Carson Palmer, who is retired and living a great life somewhere that I'm not going to announce. Somewhere. Mobile home, whole thing, hanging out with kids. Good for him. All right, I love bringing you on because you make us smarter. Let's look back so far. Sam Darnold so far, to me, he's been as good as the Jets' running game has been. He doesn't have a ton to work with. So far, I would give him a B. He's been inconsistent, but he's the youngest of them, the fewest college starts. What have you seen with Darnold?
Well, I think what we've seen from Sam is not really cool looking and fun for the fantasy community and for the general casual sports fans or NFL fans, but for the Jets fans and people who know what they're looking at. Every week he executes the game plan. He was 100% in his run checks. He made good decisions. When he made a bad decision, it's one he's not going to make again. That's what you want your rookie year. That's what you want in a freshman quarterback. Somebody who every week executes the game plan, takes what's there, makes the most of what's available. And at the end of the game, you win or you lose. But that's how you can build on, as opposed to splash plays, really cool looking things, can't do the simple things correctly.
By the way, when I say this, I'm not trying to defend him. I don't think he has anything to work with. I think it's a very weak tight end. He's got a young tight end I like. Wide receivers all banged up. Running back's not spectacular. His protection is hit and miss, mostly miss. Again, I don't think he has a ton to work with. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair. And I don't think anybody would really debate that in that locker room even. And so it's going to be interesting to see how they combat that. If there's been some free agent guys that are available, that time came and
went. They have the most salary cap space in the NFL.
And so for me, a fan of him and running the best for him, I think it's an exciting time. And a lot of these young quarterbacks are in similar situations. Cap space, picks to come in, all that.
I think Baker has, of all the rookies, Arizona, Jets, and Buffalo, I think Baker has the most talent to work with. I thought he had 3 running backs before they traded Carlos Hyde. I think Jarvis Landry's very good. His O-line, again, is hit and miss. It was overwhelmed by Pittsburgh. I don't love his personality like I like Sam's personality. Sam's more Russell Wilson luck. I connect more with Sam than the noise of Baker. What have you made of his play?
Well, there's been, conversations around maturity, and that was a big conversation. All these teams, when they're evaluating rookie quarterbacks and potentially drafting somebody, the bulk of the conversation is around maturity. I don't think that's it. I think between Sam and Baker, they are who we thought they were. And what's cool is what Baker is, those things that you talk about, the good and the bad, I think that's what Cleveland needs. They have explosive playmakers. They have zero stability, as little stability as you can possibly have when you fire your head coach and offensive coordinator 1 week. What they need is somebody who's really confident, doesn't care about the instability of it, who can battle through it, walk-on Heisman winner, and who's done that before. That's what Cleveland needs. The Jets need stability, consistency, good playmaking, and a guy who's not going to create a negative conversation in the media. So I think they're both doing exactly what they want, and I'm excited for Baker.
Okay, so I said today, listen, for a long time, LeBron, Carmelo were compared. Same draft. Carmelo was better offensively early. LeBron appeared to be better defensively, bigger physically. But after about 7-8 years, you're like, there's a gap here. One guy has a trophy room. I think Brady and Rodgers are just different people, different personalities, different arm, different athletic ability. I think Tom's incredibly coachable. He's taken pay cuts. Some could say system. I'd say coachability. I don't see him as comparable. I think Rodgers is Big Ben to me. Elusive, cannon, chip on the shoulder, kind of outspoken personality, little passive-aggressive. He's saying something. I'm not sure what he's saying. Do you think the Rodgers-Brady comparisons are just, they're over?
It's so hard for me to have that conversation with different types of people. With NFL quarterbacks, it's a consistent answer. I think if you grab 10 great franchise guys, any era, who watch it and know it, and you gave them truth serum, they would say the gap between Aaron and Tom is significant, giving Aaron the nod.
Talent.
Because the way that they would look at it, it's not talent and it's not Super Bowl. If it's Super Bowls, then it's math, right? Add them up. But when I look at it is when all these guys were at their best, playing their best, and not this game, we're talking about franchise guys, you've talked about it, it's these years, right?
The 7 great years.
There's a huge gap between Aaron and the rest of these guys. And I think most franchise quarterbacks, given true serum, would say the same thing.
What is it about, the ball looked different out of Aaron's arm. Why? He's 6'2", 218.
Yeah.
Why? Where does he generate that?
I think him and Russell's in this conversation too, but I think Aaron is the most opportunistic guy I've seen play quarterback. He did not throw like that in college. You were friends with Trent Dilfer. Trent spent some time with him pre-draft. Like, he didn't used to throw like that. He took things from Brett. He took things from everybody else. He made it his own. I see a lot of high school kids who ask, how does Aaron throw? Is that something I can learn to do? The answer is no. He's taken these things and he's made them his own. And when he's at his best, which if he's healthy, he's at his best. That's the thing. Every year he's played. If he's healthy, they're going to the playoffs. If he's not, we'll see. His best is, I think, a big gap between other guys. I think of Brady and I go, that's Tim Duncan and Popovich. That's a perfect pairing. Not a perfect quarterback. That's a perfect pairing. Aaron is standing by himself, and he's had the same coach for a long time, but McCarthy and Belichick aren't in the same conversation.
Right, that's true. What do you make of Cam's year? I put up a blind resume, and I said, I understand when the media likes Cam. Good looking, #1 pick, Heisman winner. He's a star. Mm-hmm. He is an absolute rock star in this league. He's got a Westbrook quality. He's a flawed player, but you can't take your eyes off Cam. Mm-hmm. He doesn't look like anybody else. But his numbers match up to Trubisky's in that when I did this blind resume, everybody's saying MVP, and I'm like, you look at rushing, passing, touchdowns, yards per game. It's very Trubisky, and the similarity they have is that there's a collegiate look to their offense. Greg Cosell just came on and said he may be the hardest guy in the league to prepare for. What do you make of Cam? He's not your classic Jordan Palmer student. Mm-mm. He's not. What do you make of it? If you would have had him at 16, would you have been confused? Would you have been troubled? Would you have been... What do you make of Cam?
I agree. I think he's a hard guy to prepare for. He's a hard guy to evaluate, too. He has some things where you go, man, you shouldn't be able to play in the league with that. His lack of anticipation, he waits till guys are open and throw it, and you can ask 100 people who know what they're talking about, and they all say the same thing. But it hasn't mattered, really. Because he's got these, and he hasn't had that superstar. After Steve Smith left, they haven't had that guy who can just win with separation.
He also throws too much arm, not enough leg.
And I think that is open for debate. Could he? I say there's 100 little gold chips you get when you push the ground away between then and when the ball comes off your finger. Any lack of any inconsistencies you have, you're losing. You're giving away those little gold chips, right? And I think he throws with 60 or 70 of them. He leaves a bunch on the table. But nobody would say he doesn't have a really strong arm. He still gets it there. So he does what he needs to do, but he has these elements of his game where you go, man, that's got to be hard to play well. But then he's got these other things, rushing in the red zone and hanging in the pocket and just what's in his chest and finishing and being a champion and at every level and in high school, college, all the way through, where you go, man, those things offset, and we're sitting here at the end going, yeah, he's in conversation for one of the better guys, and I don't really know how to evaluate him.
Josh Allen, Sam Darnold, among the young quarterbacks who went to Jordan Palmer. He is the quarterback guru in America right now. His brother, of course, is Carson. He played himself in college where he was a great player in the NFL for 4 years. Bengals, Jags, Titans, was it? Yeah, you were Titans.
Bounced around a bunch.
Yeah.
A lot of coffee.
Yeah. Finally, I love Andrew Luck. I get nothing but pushback. For the first time in his career this year, he has protection. When you evaluated Andrew early until now, people think they think I'm nuts. I'm like, he's one of the great quarterback talents I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. He's had no help. This year, finally has help, and he's second in the league in touchdowns. How would you evaluate him?
You look at him, the physical side of it, we haven't really seen one of these guys since him. There hasn't been he was the fastest kid. He had the best arm. He's from Stanford. He won big games. So I've heard several people say, he'd have been the first pick in pretty much any draft.
Elway.
Yeah, that's a strong...
I said Elway and Luck are the only two people of my life that there's no missed potential. Every other quarterback, there were missed potential. Elway, Luck are it.
Totally. And I agree, and I don't think he's changed. I think the injury thing, whatever's happening there and taking all that time off, we talked about it last time I was on, is he going to struggle early or not? And we said it was just dependent on what's around him, really, because if it's up to him and the ball's in his hands and he's got enough resources to work with, he's absolutely one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And I think, once in a generational player. He didn't have protection before. He had some talent out at wideout. Now he's got protection. Now he's throwing the ball, being opportunistic and finding tight ends. Had 3 score last week.
Great.
He's making the most of what's around him.
Finally. You have a podcast. I only got about 10 seconds. Jordan Palmer, quarterback coach and mentor. Any young quarterback out there interested in getting better? Here's your guy, Jordan Palmer. We love him. Hour 3 next, The Herd.